Hey Jen, can you help me find that Adobe software that we upload the audio to for podcasts to make the podcast a little better? If you don't know what it is, ask John, but if you could just text it to me, that'd be great. First off, no one has received this one yet.
Oh, yeah? Are you giving this to me?
I'm giving it to you. I'm a Snoop Dogg has received this. You're the first.
Hey. So here, show that to the...
Happy Dad. This is G, because you're a gangster. You're OG.
Put it on. Is that all right?
Of course. And then the back, Happy Dad Death Row.
Alyssa
So,
swipe this.
yeah, she will 100%. So, this is cool. It's 2021 when we started Happy Dad. And in 2021, all the flavors were released. 2020 and then 2023. And then this is 1991 when Death Row Records started. And then all of Snoop's albums with Death Row.
Cool.
Man, we got you. So yeah, I flew out here for the Specs GSM. It was here in Austin. It was all the reps, like 100 on-premise reps, and all the regional people in Texas. Great people.
Thanks, man. They've been around forever. They're based in Houston, but they've got Total Wine coming. They've got a lot of new competition coming up for out of state, but they hold their own. Those guys, they know their market.
Yeah. Well, what's funny about them is when I first met the family, and then I met Steve Jabori. I might butcher his last name, but
Jabor.
Jabor.
Twin Liquors, or
no, he's at Specs.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So Steve Jabor. So I just met him a couple months ago. Great guy. Like we just immediately became like friends, and he got the brand right away. But the family, they brought us in when we launched Texas a year ago. This time first time we met each other. Not met each other. First time we did the last podcast.
Right.
And so we met the family. They brought us in. They just get social media.
Really?
They get that. I mean, they understand the celebrity culture.
Right.
And they have a pulse on everything. Like they have with their Class B license too. Like
right.
Running all the on premise and everything. They get it. And
that's a unique for our listeners. Texas has a unique kind of fourth tier where liquor stores can actually deliver wholesale to bars and restaurants.
Yeah, or I think you only can order spirit from the Class B.
That's right.
So if you're any tequila, any brand like that, except beer and wine,
right,
you have to order from a Class B. And so our distributor, RNDC, sells to Specs, and then Specs delivers to them. But we're a malt-based beverage. So, but they're just, selling it like crazy. They have a rep named Carlos in El Paso, Texas, because I get these reports, and I called Steve. I was like, Steve, why are we so big in El Paso, Texas? It was just like, we're everywhere.
Right.
We're everywhere, right? And I'm like, he's like, oh man, this guy Carlos is crazy. so then today we did the sales meeting, and I was giving away some new merch, and we're like, who runs this account? I was like, Carlos. Who runs this account? Here's another shirt, Carlos. He took like 3 of the 5 shirts.
Wow. It just shows you how if you got a retailer behind you, it works. But thanks, Sam, for being. This is Sam Shahidi, the CEO.
Mm-hmm. Co-founder,
CEO of Happy Dad, Hard Seltzer, affiliated with the Nelk Boys, Full Send. It's been a year since we've talked on a podcast, and you were just rolling out Austin, and I listened to the old podcast on the way up here just to kind of get a baseline, and I was just hyped up fanboying because I had never been mobbed like the Beatles like that, and on down on the drag and on the drag by the campus, and so if you don't know who Full Send is, just look on YouTube and the Nelk Boys. These guys,
podcast on YouTube. Full Send.
Number 1 podcast on YouTube. Unbelievable.
You know how many people we've interviewed since then? We've interviewed like Elon Musk.
Yeah, I saw that.
Did we? We might have just interviewed Trump.
You had just interviewed him, or you were going to?
We were going to, and then it got removed.
Right.
But that one was crazy because I had a lot of people be like, "Well, why are you interviewing Trump or whatever?" I was like, "Former president," and the Ukraine war just happened.
Right.
And we're like, "Why don't we get an opinion of a former president and see what that was?" So it exploded, and then it got taken down from YouTube, which is whatever. But Elon Musk was a big one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
there's a
didn't you just do like Tucker Carlson?
yeah, Tucker, yeah.
And he said things on the podcast that he's never said anywhere else.
He's
I
a
mean,
wild
he
one.
does have a way of getting people to say things.
Yeah, it's funny because when we do the interviews, everybody's like, "Well, don't give us like an aha moment." We're like, "Man, like, don't worry about it. Just we're there to be comfortable because, we want to have that reputation where when people leave, say that was incredible, that was amazing, not man, I regret what I said and all that." So, yeah, it's been really, it's cool. It's funny because like we really don't know who we're interviewing next week.
Really.
We just go with the flow, and I think the magic of the podcast is we fly to people. So we'll fly anywhere.
Yeah.
If it's a great interview, we'll fly anywhere.
Wow. Now, is your setup as sophisticated as this one? Do they have old 80s bands taped to their microphones?
It's not that far off, though. I mean, you got 3 camera lenses. So do we.
The 360 cam, I actually use that to ride my electric skateboard just for fun. But I always run it because you just never know when these cameras will just fucking shut down on you, and then you have nothing.
Yeah. So, yeah. And we're not really watching it right now to see, or we're just hoping the red light stays on.
Yeah, right. Is it
yeah, we're good.
Okay,
we're good.
They're both on. They're plugged in. So, well, anyway, hey, welcome to BeerNet Radio. This is the podcast, of course, where all your dreams come true. It's the podcast where we make enemies of friends, friends of enemies. It's our business. And you're a friend, I would say. And you guys have... So a year ago when kind of we interviewed you, you were just kind of rolling out. And we've already talked about on that, go back and check that one. It's gives the backstory, how you kind of formulated, got the idea through COVID, and then right kind of in the middle of COVID, you launched. And, you were in like 4 states at the time. And
we were 5. When we spoke, because we did Texas, we were on number 7.
7, okay.
Yeah, I think Texas was number 8.
Yeah. And how many states are you in now?
We're in 16. We ended 2022 with 16 states. In the next 45 days, we're rolling out 5 more. So we're going to be in Ohio, Michigan, Maryland, D.C., Virginia, Missouri, and Wisconsin. So that's 5 more. And then that's it for the year. So
that's going to keep you busy.
Yeah, it's going to keep us busy. And it's funny because, everybody from everywhere wants us to sell it, but we've learned a lot in the last year. Creating a strong infrastructure. How do you manage this? It's not just, I don't care how hot a brand is. It can't just sell on its own. You really need a proper team in the streets running it. You're have a great distributor, but distributors are just like any other business. They might have flaws. There might be issues. So how do you, work on that and get past maybe they just had a restructuring, which, it is what it is. Everybody does that, right? Or one way or another. So we're being very careful because every state we go in now, we normally have 1 to 3 sales reps in that state from the launch to support the distributor, the market, be our eyes and ears in the state, right. Which a lot of people, surprisingly, I didn't even know was a big deal 2 years ago. When we met, it wasn't even on our plan to hire sales. We were trying to hire more people in our office.
Right.
And then probably about 2 months later, I was like, this is not scalable. My analogy is like, we're just drones flying all over the United States, right? We don't know what's going on in the streets. We don't know what's going on in the alleys or anything. So we need our foot soldiers out there to do that. And so we hired our first one in June, July. We're at 28 right now.
Wow.
We're hiring about 3 a week. All incredible A+ people. We have a really stringent interview process. They have to go through 4 interviews to make it. And the last one's with me. And every person they go through.
What are you looking for? Gregarious or what?
So one's a ride or die person. Yeah. So some haven't, some don't have, well, there's a few things. So one's ride or die. We could just tell immediately, is this guy going to drop everything to go take care of an account?
Right.
If it's needed.
Yeah.
Because alcohol, I've learned in the last 2 years, is $365.
Yeah.
It's every day.
In fact, you sell more on weekends and holidays. So
yes.
it's infamous in the beer industry that if you're not working on Christmas Eve, then you're not really in the beer business. So.
No, exactly. And so, our staff I tell them, like, listen, you're working New Year's Eve, but you get probably January 6th off. Maybe, but it might be a big playoff game for football, and we have a huge activation going on. Right. So that's just
February is pretty lame.
No, it's not. It's Super Bowl.
Oh, shit. Well, this year, yeah.
President's weekend.
And, of course, Valentine's Day. You can't forget that.
Yes.
I mean, that's what I gave Millicent was some Happy Dad, And
honestly, there's not a slow month. If you think about dry, seltzers don't have dry January in my mind. Like, it's a little slower than obviously, like, it ain't no summer sales, but like we always have incredible sales. We've gone through 2 Januaries now. So one is on the employee side is a ride or die person. We could tell if they have the fire, they're all about it and everything. If they have experience, like, that's great, but we kind of train them because it's the people skills. Because for us, in the interview, I always tell them, I'm like, I have a few rules. I have 0 tolerance with, drinking and being an idiot. You're representing me and the company and all of us, and I've worked my ass off. All of us have to make this an incredible company. I'm not going to let you ruin that. So that's one way you'll be gone. Don't be a drunk idiot. And then 2 is you're an extension of all of us. And in the alcohol business, it's really amazing, but also could be very competitive, complicated. You have store managers, and you don't know what the person's gone through. You go to a store manager and whatever store, and that guy, maybe plumbing blew up in his place and he has a crazy bill and he's frustrated for the day and he's giving everybody attitude. It's like, you just got to be happy and like be the nice one in there, because I bet our competition is going in with some attitude, like thinking they're top dogs or whatever. And if we go in and kill people with kindness, we'll get things long term. And we're seeing those results now because, there's accounts that would probably sell 4 cases a weekend. And now we're in a group chat, the whole company, and we're like, now we're averaging 30 cases a weekend at that store because they brought it forward, and it's all about relationships.
Right.
The entire alcohol business is.
You nailed it. You and your brother John, who's y'all were just getting into it, and I'm really not glad. I mean, that's the wrong word. You're exactly right. Having feet on the street in the major markets is table stakes now, and there are a lot of bev-alc suppliers who ship it and forget it, and they think,
that's a great way to say it.
We're going to be in 200 Walmarts. That does not guarantee success.
No.
Yeah, it'll guarantee success the first time you ship, but repeat buys are important.
Well, there's so many, like, and this is for people that aren't in the business or first time is, your distributor. So here's like, think about the process. Like, Walmart puts an order in, it goes to the back, right? And we're talking beer too, which is a lot of cases, not like 3 cases of hard alcohol or whatever. It's a lot of cases. Goes in the back on a Thursday. Your sales rep on a distributor side, let's say the guy's on vacation because he's taking his PTO. Totally fine. Do a rock and roll. So they do that. If you don't have someone there, you might skip the whole 4th of July weekend because the person didn't take it from the back, bring it in, help organize it, build a relationship with whoever's like kind of merchandising and all that. You just missed a big weekend. Times that by 30,000 accounts all day, every day, or the other way around. Our team, and this is where part of like our sales training is, first they kind of learn the business, whatever, our culture. And then like within 60 days, they have to start building relationships with all of our distributor partners and the reps there. And then now you go tag team, because a Happy Dad sales rep, we call them area success managers. I don't even call them area sales managers, area success, because every account needs to have success. And they might want to take a vacation, Well, guess what? Your buddy Blake that is running, Arlington market, he's got your back that weekend. Right. Same thing other way around. He might be sick that weekend. You do that. So it's cool because you're building this culture of like people working together and I always get people saying, distributors this, that, and everything. It's like, they're your partners. You just need to know how to manage it. And I look at a distributor as like a platform.
Yeah. Like
Instagram's not going to make you 100,000 followers.
Yeah.
You have to.
Unless Steve will do it.
Yeah. If you're doing that, but Steve will do is putting that work in with his team.
Yeah.
And then you talk to Instagram, and Instagram kind of like helps you with like things or whatever, not to grow, but just like if you think about business of a distributor, like they have like 20, 30, hundreds of brands.
Yeah.
So you just got to figure out how to navigate through that and shine and have a great product.
Right.
You know, and all
Create
that.
some
So,
pull and
yeah, and you have to pull. Like, yeah, if you're not pulling, and I'm so fortunate. My brother and I wake up every morning, and Kyle and Steve and everybody, like, we wake up every day, and it's been 2 years. Our 2-year anniversary is gonna be in June. We wake up every day, and we're like, this is insane. What's happening? You know, and I think that's like one of the magic of why we're successful is because we're acting like we're selling day one every day.
Well, you certainly merchandise the brand very well in the podcast, and you know, I don't think I've ever seen any of those guys without some kind of Happy Dad apparel, or you know,
I'll take them down if they.
Yeah.
Don't worry. Anytime Kyle's hat's backwards, he gets a text from me like, "Hey, man,
Come on, man. Backward. You're too old for that anyway." Well, you know, you've also, I've noticed, been traveling. You're on the road like all the time, and
Yeah.
how is that going?
So it's funny because there's a lot of things. You know, I've used to travel when I was in the music business. I used to tour with some artists, and that wasn't fun because the result, yeah, we saw crowds like performing and whatever, like fans like loving the music and everything. But this one's different because I think I learned from that travel. I would get exhausted, I would get jet lag or whatever. But now, I mean, I could be in 5 states a week. I'll go anywhere for a lot of reasons. One is learning a market for me is one of the most important reasons why is the success for myself. Yeah. For me to go to like Charleston, South Carolina or anywhere. When we were driving through here and I went to Waco, Texas, like, you know, those aren't markets that people visit all the time. Right. I love those markets because that's where you meet the real people. And then that energy comes in and I'm like, guys, this is how that market works. So as CEO coming in, I could educate. Like my brother travels a good amount, but he isn't supposed to travel because right now he's like command center.
Right.
So he's like there and I'm like, Johnny, like I just figure this out. And then he'll navigate within the office, you know, however way it goes while I'm on some flight. But psychologically, because it could take a toll on you, is I've learned that I treat it like football seasons. Wow. So I'm in season actually just started for me. I took about a couple weeks off here and there, but like mentally I took like a month off of like, I'm not going on flights nonstop, but now we're going to spring, summer.
Yeah. It's
football season. We're like in it, and wherever I need to go, I'll go if there's an opportunity to learn and do whatever we need to do. And you know, my assistant's incredible. Like we have like a system. Yeah. Like I sent her a text today. I said, all right, day flights, I need aisle seat because people fall asleep.
Right.
And I hate to interrupt people when I try to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Night flights, I don't want to be interrupted because I'm sleeping.
Right.
So put me on the window seat.
Man, I'm the same way. I'm very particular based on time of day, length of trip, about where I want to sit. And so, because I used to, others would do my flight. I'm like, I'm going to do my own flights and sometimes I like a big layover. Sometimes I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, travel sucks. I mean, there's no way around it.
The one thing that I finally got to just accept was Wi-Fi on planes.
Yeah, it sucks.
Like I just tell everybody 5% chance you're going to get a hold of me. And if I do, it's going to be in and out.
Yeah.
And
it's gotten worse.
It's way worse.
You would think it would get better and better, but it really
way
hasn't.
Worse.
Yeah, I noticed that too.
And I love it and hate it. I love it because then I could just take a moment and sleep and just like watch something on my iPad or whatever and just disconnect. But then, man, like if I'm on a flow on a spreadsheet and some like projections things, I'm like doing whatever and the Wi-Fi like stops.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, because you know how hard it is to get in like the mode of like super focused.
Yeah.
You know,
it's real irritating.
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes it's nice, you know, you can stare out the window and contemplate all the mistakes you've made in your life.
I need a long flight for that one. that's an international flight.
Where are you heading? Are you leaving? I see you have your luggage.
Yeah, so I'm going to Dallas, Miami, Orange County. Then like I'm on some I'm gone for a whole month.
Oh, okay.
I am visiting every state. It's just exciting because the thing is, there's America and then there's like the states and then the cities and the towns are different certain weekends and all that stuff. So when you start understanding that, and like I map it with our team of just like, these are moments, like there's in Maryland, there's a giant marlin tournament, huge. I forgot the name, and what probably wasn't on my top 10,000 things in my life to ever think about. And I looked it up. I was like, this is crazy. So what I do, I put on my thing. I'm like, I guess I'm going to a marlin weekend, like biggest event in America, right? And there's tons of those things. So
that's true. I mean, this country it's not like Europe. Every market is so different. And it's magnificent distances too. I mean, it's a huge country.
Yeah, and I get like a high off of people. So like we love like participating in like tailgates and like these events. I'm not big of a festival guy because people are like so hyper focused on the artist and like going to concept, like they're just grabbing a drink and going. They're not really building a relationship in the brand. This is just my opinion. Like, you're just grabbing whatever drink is available to drink and then go. Where like football tailgates or some of these events where people bring their families and friends, right? So you send your kids off, they're running around doing whatever. There's a lot of like smaller, like hyper local events that we're doing. And that's where like you and your buddy are talking, cracking a cold one. And, and those are all the relationships that kind of get created. And what we're seeing a lot right now is hitting those a lot more. One, they're less expensive, but then they're just more impactful because they're the ones that will go down the street and go shopping at the local grocery store pretty quick.
Right.
So learning more of those is there. Like recently we just, like I'm all about like chili, like cook-off local events. I'm like, if there's a chili cook-off, that means there's like very loyal people there.
Right.
Like, and like in the neighborhood. So
thirsty. I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that too. Yeah. They probably have a lot of sodium in them. No, that's again, like going back to like my travels though, is these like local things that happen is just, it's incredible, and I'm going to do it as long as I can.
Yeah. I mean, you're still young. I mean,
39.
Yeah, you're getting up there. Sorry, I didn't. But you're still. Last I checked in with you, you were mostly with RNDC Republic.
Yeah, we're with them in 8 states now. So if we're in 22 states, 23, Breakthrough's been a great partner.
Okay.
So Breakthrough will be in 4 states with them now because we're going to be with them in Missouri, Wisconsin, Illinois. They're incredible. Arizona, they're awesome. And then we hit different spirit guys, like depending on the state. We started working with the Beer Network in Michigan, which is fun. You got nine contracts, 9 distributors.
Right.
I'm trying to create sales.
You didn't even think Michigan was that big. I mean,
listen, I'll take 9 all day over Texas. Yeah. It's like 120 or 240, like some absurd number.
Right.
And so I'm like sitting there, like before you could do projections off the state. Now I'm like going county level, but now I'm like, but they only have half that county.
Right. Yeah. And there's a Walmart on this part of the county.
Yeah.
Not on that one or whatever.
It's fun. It's a new challenge for us that we're tapping into as we go into certain states that spirit isn't as strong, or there's like weird spirit laws and all that we tap into that. But at the same time, like RNDC's been absolutely incredible. Like everything we've ever wanted, they've been doing. Our whole plan with them was to help them grow and extend their malt business.
Right.
And it comes with, we weren't great, great brand, but like operation, we weren't great. They weren't set up properly, but we're learning together. So like every day there's new things happening where, if you're looking long term, we're going to win at the end, but it's going to sting at first. Yeah, we could plug ourselves into a beer network right away and just boom goes. But then how's it? I kind of like that like, let's do this together.
Right.
Journey.
Well, Sam just went and bought these at a C-store around the corner, and it was there. It's on a Tuesday, so that tells you
it got delivered to the state yesterday.
Let's talk about that, because I seem to remember that you and John, even before this, had a very successful media company, and you worked with artists and things. And I remember that Snoop Dogg was one of the artists that y'all have worked with before. And so how did you get in with Snoop Dogg and Death Row? And how did you develop this product?
Yeah, so one, we grew up in Southern California. So big Snoop, Dr. Dre, Tupac, Death Row fans. So we know the culture. We're born and raised in LA. And so Snoop's manager, Kevin, who's awesome, and we did a couple of different projects together, and we've been very successful with it. And we were like, let's do a collab with Death Row. Like, not Snoop, but with Death Row. Right. Because culturally, no one's really, there's been like a wine or whatever, but no one's in our minds have done it right to really hit the masses, hit people. And Death Row is such an iconic brand. And when Snoop got full ownership and bought Death Row, we're like, we got to do a Death Row collab. So during that time, we had a bunch of different flavor options, and the grape just hit. Snoop was like, this is amazing. But the idea was like, how do we make it cool and fun? Because here's the thing. Most 21 to 28-year-olds don't know the history of Death Row.
It's been a while since Tupac was alive.
Yeah.
If he's, in fact,
True.
dead. So
True.
Let's make that clear. Allegedly. So yeah, I could see that.
And our demo,
because Snoop has made not a comeback. He's always been at the top, all right.
He just got bigger.
He's just bigger.
Yeah.
He's a Corona commercial. He's out there. He's with Martha Stewart and stuff. So he's.
But the thing about Snoop is he's a genius. Like, I don't know if you've ever met him, and one day you will. Is like, he's a genius. He gets it. I think he has like a photographic memory too.
Really? Even with all that gone, huh?
Yeah. I think it might have helped.
Maybe it does.
So, because he remembers things so long ago, and he remembers little details. It's very unique. And so creatively, when we're sitting down talking about this, and he was just like, "Listen, I trust Johnny. I trust you. I trust Sammy. I know you guys will make this brand be cool and everything." And for us, the collab was trying to hit an older demo, actually. And we knew we would get the younger demo because the Death Row brand is a streetwear brand in the younger generation minds. Right. So that doesn't know this, right? So it's no different than going to a store and you see a 24-year-old person wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt. They probably don't know what Led Zeppelin is, but they know the Led Zeppelin logo. It's an iconic logo. Right. So there's a connection there. So from there, we're like, if we make a great flavor, we hope it'll hit. You never know, right? We all think, oh, it's going to be the best flavor in the world, and you don't know. But we have enough taste buds that we think we do pretty good.
Enough taste buds.
And
how'd you hit on grape?
So what happened was during the tasting, we had a bunch of flavors. And grape was like kind of the odd one. Yeah. Because if anybody said, hey, let's do grape, you'd be like, how many people like grape? And it's always the odd one that kind of gets our attention. And so, well, not our attention. It's always the one that we just don't care to drink it, and then we'll try it and be like, this wasn't the grape we thought we were going to get. And it was better. So that's where it hit. And the smell and the taste. And then later we realized how many people love grape. Like you were explaining your C4, you're a big grape guy.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't really pay attention to how much people love grape, but people love grape.
Yeah.
And no one's done it. Yeah. So
those Sunny D commercials, they're like, oh, purple drink. And I'm like, I would prefer the purple drink over Sunny D, for God's sakes.
I was the same thing. I was like, what was wrong with the purple drink?
Purple drink.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that guy. What did purple drink do to you, Mr. Orange?
Yeah.
But so when we created it and the partnership that we did, and we're just like, let's go Death Row and see how deep we could go into Death Row. We have a lot of ideas. There's a lot of like music rights and like things, but we're going in. So the merchandise is just gonna be insane. Yeah. Like obviously, I got you the G.
This is going on eBay in about 10 minutes after you leave.
Well, the new eBay StockX. Oh. StockX is a cool eBay now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I need to meet with you once a year so I can just so my sons will be impressed with me.
You say StockX, you'd be like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, I'm on StockX getting my sneaks.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm sorry I interrupted you. So you were grape's different. Nobody else has. I don't.
No
think
one has
grape
it
out there.
No one has it, and then we just released it on the 31st. It hit Southern California. And then this past weekend, we had like an event in Nevada and Vegas, and just a bunch of like kind of public events or whatever, and bar activations, and they I saw a group of people that liked it that I wasn't expecting, which was the 25, 26, 27-year-old girls. I'm like, what is going on? Like, you were not like
your target demo.
No, and everything. And so I was like, maybe you're like a watermelon or a pineapple or whatever, right? But I didn't know like it skewed. And then like we have a lot of like our friends' wives that are very like they'll critique us on every single thing that we release, and they're just like, we love this. It's a 10 out of 10. I'm like, damn. So I'm excited to see it out in the market, and it's just there's a weird feeling. I was explaining this to you earlier, was when I ran to the C store, and I was trying to get a grape because it just got delivered yesterday. There was no chance it was going to be here. Right. And I went and grabbed the fruit punch. I saw the grape. I go, hey, when did I get here? Like 10 minutes ago. I'm like, the grape gods wanted us to taste it. You had to taste it.
Yeah, it's great. I mean,
as a big grape guy.
Yeah.
Especially with your C4 over there.
Yeah. No,
how would you rate it?
Listen, we don't talk about taste at my company.
Okay.
But I'll go ahead and give an exception. It's good shit. It's good shit.
Thank you.
And I quit drinking like a year ago, but I am allowed to taste. So
you paused it. You paused drinking for a little bit.
I paused.
I
still drink occasionally. I just, Anyway, enough about me.
But Snoop's like we're warming up on like the marketing and advertising, because like he was just out of town. He went on tour in Australia and Europe, and he just did WWE. He was the host of the WWE in LA. Yep. So it's funny because like our marketing, we always try to come up with all these plans. We'll have a list of 100 things we want to do, but we'll probably do like one of them off the list because an idea will just click in tomorrow. So he had an idea. He's like, I want to recreate Old School, because there was a scene in Old School where Will Ferrell we're going streaking, and he took the mic from Snoop.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Snoop was in that.
Yeah, I did. I kind of forgot too. And then I was like, wait, I feel like when he said the idea, I'm like, he's like, this is Old School.
Yeah, it's when it hit your lips.
Yeah. So,
classic.
And we have like 3 different marketing modes. So we have the launch, then we have a summer thing, and we have a fall thing. So this isn't like a quick little, limited time offer. We're keeping this all year long. And if the sales are crushing it, we're just going to keep it running, crushing grapes. It's kind of funny, right?
Interesting. Yeah. I think I saw you guys sold like 1.4 million cases.
1.3.
1.3 last year with like 3 SKUs. I mean, how many SKUs?
So we had our variety pack, and then we did a limited time offer with our banana. That was the NFT with the Bored Ape that we own, which we're bringing back this summer, because that was a banana flavor, which no one's ever created a banana seltzer, and the flavor profile was just insane. Yeah. And it was all women again. It's funny. Happy Dad was just like, we're finding these formulas that women love drinking as well. And so we're like, my brother kept saying, he's like, man, we shouldn't have done 10,000 cases. Yeah. He's like, we just got to bring it back. And I'm like, you know what? We should, like, yes, let's do it. And it was funny when we started letting all our partners know, they're like, finally, like all we get is the demand for whatever. So we launched banana, then we launched fruit punch, and this guy's just been a massive hit. People are saying it's a 10 out of 10, specifically in on-premise. Off it crushed, but like on was that flavor that we had.
Really?
That like
is interesting. I wonder why.
Well, it's because you already have seltzers in the market. So when you're going into a bar and you're like, hey, we have a wild cherry, but others have black cherry. So they're like, we already have 2 of these. So I'm not going to replace one for the other. We already have a great relationship with them or whatever. High Noon has a watermelon, a big one. Nobody has a fruit punch. Right. Truly has a fruit punch, but it's not a hyper-focused item like a top SKU that they push. Right. So what was funny about fruit punch was, again, going back to our tastings, we just went through tastings. We're trying all these different things, and that guy just hit. And like we set it all up, getting all ready for like 4 months, and then like 2 weeks before we were going on launch, I go, I wonder if anybody has fruit punch in the market. No, like data science, like fruit punch is a big thing. Like we just liked it. It was a good taste bud. Like that's not same with grape.
Yeah.
So I looked it up. I'm like, High Noon doesn't have a fruit punch. White Claw doesn't have a fruit punch. Or maybe they have a punch pack, maybe not. But if Truly had a punch pack.
Right.
And then they had a single pack, but it wasn't it was there. You know what I mean? It wasn't like a primary, like top 2 SKU, I think, or whatever. But and that was it. So
Yeah.
like, whoa, this might happen. But then on a
So
fruit,
differentiating, I mean, that
Yeah.
that gets you in the account, and they'll push it, because it's the only grape and fruit punch that they might have.
banana.
Banana,
Yeah.
right? And explain to me how the NFT and the banana works. Do
So
I have to buy an NFT?
no. So what's cool about the NFT world? Every NFT has different like rules.
Yeah.
And so with Bored Ape, this was a crazy one. So the launch, because we never really talked about the Bored Ape launch. So it was August 6th or 8th, we launched a Bored Ape, and August 1st, first off, when you buy a Bored Ape, you own the rights to that ape, and you could sell it anyway. You could put on merchandise, you could put it on anything you want. We're actually making a jerky called Bored Jerky, and we have our other apes on like jerky and stuff, which is cool. So, but you can't use the Bored name or the Yacht Club. Like they have a trademark on like, you can't use Bored Ape, but you call it ape, so we call ours a Happy Ape. So we have the rights to profit off of it.
Right.
At the time, the Bored Ape founders had never done a public interview on video. Or I don't even think audio.
Yeah.
They were just kind of like, not anonymous. People kind of knew who they were. They saw them at events and everything, but they just didn't.
I bet John knew him.
John knew.
Yeah. They're
John
LA
knew.
guys. Y'all.
No, these guys are, oh man, New York guys, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think they were New York guys.
Okay.
Or Connecticut, one of those. So that's that. So my brother calls Elon Musk and he's like, we need you on the podcast.
Yeah.
We want you on a podcast. We need a big podcast. At the same time, our banana arrives. So we go meet with Elon here in Austin. We interview him for 3 hours, and we have our banana all over, right? And he's drinking them and everything. It's a 3-hour podcast with Elon Musk, right? And it's like Salim, Aaron, one of our hosts, my brother, and Kyle talking about everything. And there's clips all day of like the craziest conversations. And I'm sitting there like, damn, Elon's drinking Happy Dads right now with his banana. So then we dropped the podcast. Boom. Sales, it's gone.
Yeah.
Then the Bored Ape founders found out that we did the podcast, and they're like, we want you guys to be the first podcast we want our first podcast we ever want to do is with you guys. Which was cool because like culturally in the NFT community, it kind of closed the gap of the whole reason why we did it, like getting the founders on and all that and everything. So it was like a really cool cultural moment. And like, in the NFT community, whatever is going on with crypto, that's a massive community still.
Yeah. And
for us, the plan was to hit that market. They don't have an official Seltzer, the NFT community. There's not like so now our sales, we saw a big spike in our sales that stayed because it just gave us visibility to an audience that nobody ever had, or like we didn't have. And that's kind of where our angle is like, we are working with Snoop and his platform and his audience to tap into Happy Dad. Because that's just an audience that maybe has seen it, but like just needs that extra kind of assurance. Like, should I go buy a 12-pack? Should I try it? And then it's honest to make sure it tastes good.
Yeah. Right. And you guys have stuck to the 12-pack fat can. And have you ever considered a single package, like a 19.2?
So we have a 24-ounce coming at the end of the year. Oh, no, not year. Sorry, end of the month. So end of April, first week of May. It'll be our fruit punch, lemon, lime, and grape.
Okay.
So a lot of C-stores, convenience, like Quick Trip in North Texas is like, we're doing 24-ounce cans, grape. I'm like, smart move.
Yeah. Listen to your retailers. Sometimes they have good ideas.
Yeah, and that's why we picked fruit punch and grape and lemon lime, because fruit punch and grape kind of swings more the consumer that's going in. And then the lemon lime is probably my best converting flavor of somebody that's never had a seltzer before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it kind of, has a...
Is there anybody that hadn't had a seltzer?
Probably. I mean, 2 years ago it was a stat like 90% people haven't converted from beer to seltzer.
Yeah.
These are your stats. You should know this.
I should.
Yeah, you should know.
Where are my peoples?
Yeah. So we have 24-ounce can coming. We have a 24-pack coming around Father's Day. I feel like there's something else. No draft.
No, I wouldn't fuck with that.
No. It's not
It's
only
too much.
No, it's our biggest marketing tool is the can.
Right.
People take pictures on social media, hold it. You don't really get that out of draft. Outside of logistically and operationally, it's a pain in the ass. But this is the thing. Like our most famous artist, I say this in our office, is the most famous person we have in our company is the Happy Dad logo.
Yeah.
Bigger than Steve, bigger than Kyle and all that. Everybody looks up to the Happy Dad logo. Like whatever he wants to do, we do and we go,
Yeah.
So it's very fortunate, like, what we got here.
Right. So, one of the things when you guys were one of the fears was that it's all about Nelk boys. It's all about full send. Then once that rush of people comes and then they, you're not going to get the repeat buys. And so and obviously, you're filling out with salespeople,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing all the right things. So how do you manage that and how has that gone?
It's going great. So 4th of July was the moment where we saw a big separation between, does this person even know what full send Nelk Boys is? Because that was all of our goals. Steve and Kyle's, everybody's from day one, was it needs to be bigger than this because their fan base is only so much. Every artist, even Post Malone, like whoever, they max out at a fan base compared to like a brand where like Nike has way more people, interacting with the brand more than like an artist. So it was 4th of July where we saw, and I would run into people, and now I could feel it and I see it because I'll go to markets and people be like, "Oh, Happy Dad." I'm like, "Oh yeah, how do you know about it?" Like, I went into an HEB and it was actually a gentleman. He was probably like 55, 60 years old. And he's like, I went to HEB for a softball game with the boys and I saw a stack of Happy Dad. I was like, oh, what's this? Let me try it. I liked it. I've been drinking it ever since. Yeah. So that's one angle that we've been seeing. It's a lot of young families now are drinking it.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it hit. And our goal was to, let's say, how old's your son?
22, 25, and 29.
Okay, so any of your sons, to introduce you to Happy Dad, you introduce you to your buddy. Your buddy has no clue what full send Nelk or anything is. He becomes a fan and just goes on the wave. And that's where we're at right now. And I think, even like the crypto side of things, a lot of those guys might not even watch any full send Nelk stuff. Hopefully, like let's say even 5% don't. That's the 5% people that are just, amplifies you to another way. Same with Snoop fans. I bet, probably 80, 90% of Snoop fans have never seen anything we've ever done on our side, right. And that's now amplifying us. And it's at the end of the day, if the product is good. And that's where we just hired excellent brewer for our team from High Noon. So he developed High Noon vodka, tequila, and he was a great guy. We had a mutual friend and he just came on like 2 weeks ago and immediately I sent him to the breweries. I go, look at our formula and find out what our flaws are. Aging. Like how do we make sure, for 12 months, how does it taste like it's 18 months, or whatever? Like how do we get that going? So that with kind of going beyond the audience is if it's good, it'll get there. We're fortunate that we know how to market to get to the masses, but if it tastes like shit,
yeah,
we're done, and so when you're producing like 100 million cans a year, yeah, things are going to break. Sure. I can't tell you how many times we've done quality control where we'll be there in the first batch. We're like, it doesn't taste like this. This doesn't taste good. And, the brewers are like, oh yeah, I forgot to do something. Like,
Yeah. I forgot to clean out the vat from the last batch of whatever.
Totally. But you know what though? It's just human error.
Yeah.
We all, like it's just human error. So you just have to have policies and like layers in place where you try and minimize all the errors so that's by the time it gets to a consumer, 6 months later, think about this, like we just made a batch, goes into your fridge, your neighbor doesn't come over for 6 months, you haven't even had it. People hold their drinks in their fridge for a long time.
Yep.
And seltzer is a very sensitive,
right.
like
you don't
profile.
Hide the flavor.
No, you're like it's like very close to like either great or terrible.
Yeah.
So, but I think that's what's like really cool about us is like we care so much about the taste and it's not like, oh man, we're just selling this. This is so cool.
Yeah.
Is we're like paranoid about the taste, and making sure how do we do that. So that's why I was like, how do we get to the finish line? Because between my brother and Joe Butel, who has been running product and everything, is like, as we do that, I'm like, we need to hire somebody that just lives and breathes our formula every day, not to make an RTD for us, but to make this, a 10 out of 10 all the time.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah, that I know it is. And it's funny, we have a media guy that works with us a lot. His name's Sean. He's in his, I want to say, probably mid to late 30s. Never heard of Nelk, never heard of Happy Dad. And somehow Happy Dad came up when we were working on something. He goes, "Oh, that's all I drink." I go, "Oh, are you a fan of, Kyle and Steve?" And he's like, "I don't know who they are. I just picked it up at the store and I love it. I had no idea they were part of a YouTube career." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, so you are." There's one example of some.
I mean, I didn't know George Clooney owned Casamigos.
Well, I mean, come on, man.
I didn't. Because I never paid attention to it. And then, like, sometimes I saw him on a motorcycle on like a truck, and I was like, "Oh, they signed George Clooney. That's a good idea." But I didn't know he owned it. I didn't know the story, because most people aren't living in this business. Like, who's the creator of, this? They're just kind of influenced in whatever way. Just, it being the only 12-pack available because the cold box is empty from other stuff, and you're merchandising. And that goes back to like the sales reps and the team is I always tell everybody, I go, if the product is visible in front of the store, it'll be gone. Yeah. But the hardest thing is to make sure that product is visible in the store, because the store could be like, "Hey, you could do whatever you want. You're on resets. We got you. You're on this planogram." Go to the store and be like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
The merchandiser was off today. It was a big day today. Today is a national championship day, and nothing,
Right.
that's so.
If it's not on the floor, it doesn't get sold.
Yeah, and beer. What's crazy about beer that, spirit, people that are in the spirit business don't understand is so much more labor.
Yes.
It's not.
It's the ABV so low that the volume is so much higher, and it's just as heavy.
Yeah, you know how much money you can make off a dolly of like Tito's versus a dolly of Happy Dads?
The wine and spirits guys, it's slow dollars, and we're all about fast nickels.
Mm-hmm.
And it's and that's why there's a big cultural divide between the wine and spirits guys and the beer guys. If you come from the outside and you think, "Oh, y'all are all in the alcohol business," no, it's very segmented.
No,
it's
very different.
It's getting less and less so, but because they're sold differently in a lot of ways.
No, it's like being a cattle rancher and somebody that owns avocado farms. It's like it's like totally different.
Yeah, the
like I'll talk to like our partners that our distributors are more on the spirit side, and then be like, "Yeah, this." I was like, I'll end the call. Just remember, we're a malt.
Yeah,
we're a malt.
Right, and that puts you in a lot more accounts that you can be in. Have you guys ever considered having a liquor RTD? Or
we've talked about it. It's a different business, and we're on a wave. Like, I looked at our IRI data yesterday, and we're like a top 10 brand in the nation, but we're only in like 10.3% of the accounts in the nation. So we're in a lot of groceries like BevMo. I believe we're still the number 3 seltzer, not RTD, seltzer. Mm-hmm. So it was number 1 White Claw, number 2 Truly. We're number 3, and we're above Topo Chico, which is a powerful brand in California.
Right.
And Total Wine nationwide, I think we're in like 33% of the total wines across the nation, because we're not in all the states, and we're a top 4 seltzer. So, there's so much more, for us, we have to, how do we hold the ground there and work our way up? Because that's just us like starting to figure it out, So when you add a RTD, it's a totally different animal. Like, so our beer network guys can't sell it. Our spirit guys can, but then we're not going into maybe a 7-Eleven because they might not have a license. So I'm like, okay, you got this guy.
It way complicates everything. I think you're smart just to stick to the malt.
It's working. Working, and I don't even care. Like, I'll see things and it's like, well, the seltzer business is on decline. I'm like, well, not for us.
Well, see, and that I was going to ask you about that actually next. Seltzers have taken a hit starting 2 year and a half ago, going into last year. The seltzer as a category, and I'm talking about malt-based seltzers, really still haven't hit a bottom. They're just about there, I think, and
Mhm.
we'll start to see them being flat as a category. And mostly, you know, when you talk about seltzers, it's White Claw and Truly. That
Yep.
is what we're talking about, and a little Topo.
But do you feel like that's because they were so big during COVID?
Absolutely.
Like it's
yeah.
like, so we're just looking at it's like Bitcoin being $68,000,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, you know,
It's
it's
an
struggle. It's like
artificial.
it's 20,000. It was 3,000 5 years ago or 10 years ago, whatever. But I just think, what's happening in the market is seltzer specific. There was a gold rush. We were part of that, but our reason why we went in there wasn't because it was a gold rush, was because we actually wanted to make our own brand because we like drinking it, you know? So it wasn't like, oh, look how big it is and we're next or whatever. It was more like, we actually think there's a problem in this and we're going to try to cut through it. And we cut through it and we're on this wave. So now we just have to stay focused, organize, and innovative, whatever, and all that. The RTD world is going through that right now, right? Everybody's like, and don't get me wrong, there's not a week that doesn't go by someone's like, man, you gotta do an RTD of vodka soda. I go, I could tell you this. If I pour it in a red cup, an RTD and a Happy Dad, and the Happy Dad tastes better, they don't care if this is a vodka or malt.
Yeah,
the guy, it's 5%. It's, you know, it does take business away. I think it takes away business for vodka sodas.
Sure. I mean, I think that's
we all
part
do.
of the seltzer craze, and obviously it's taxed at about half the amount, so you can price it at a better price.
That's what I'm saying too. And I tell them, I'm like, guys, like in Tennessee, there's a spirit tax.
Yeah.
It's like $1 or something or whatever. I'm like, not us, you know. And also, you know, the local C stores, the Quick Trips, and, you know, 7-Elevens and Circle K's and all that. I'm like, I want to be in those places.
Sure.
I don't want to be limited at all on where we could sell Happy Dad. So for me, I want us to be everywhere, and all of us internally, we'll talk about that too, is I don't want to have that feeling like, oh, look, there's Buc-ee's, go in there. No, I can't carry Happy Dad because you're an RTD. Like, oh, okay. I mean, you know, we could split it, but it's selling great.
Yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
so my heart's not in it at all. The brand would probably crush if it had the right thing, but we're going our second year.
Right. And your distribution is, you have a lot of runway there.
So much runway. We're like in our rookie year with our distribution team, you know, and so what happens when everybody's in sync? It's a monster.
Yeah. And so, what are your ambitions for this year? We're just getting into summer. 1.3 million cases. What are we going to hit this year? I mean, it's kind of hard to say though.
So
new products.
So what's hard? So we'll sell 400,000 cases of just grape by the end of May, because we already sold half that in pre-sale.
Right.
So that's just great, and that's in May. We'll do over 2 million. I have a much bigger number. We'll easily hit 2 million, but I have a bigger number in my head. But the problem that you run into is like things that you just don't know. Like, for example, there was a last year in certain markets, a bunch of beer companies raised their prices.
Right.
So we saw a crazy, like pretty much stop in sales because all those independent stores were loading up on a less expensive. Like, you know, they're loading up.
Loading the trade so they can
Yeah.
get the better price.
So I was like, this is weird. Did everybody just stop working today? And like, it was like, and they're like, yeah, you know, whatever company, they're raising their prices and whatever, October 1st or something. So whatever, I'm like, whatever. Like, we'll just come back from that. It's also learning these new markets and like, you know, COD, like kind of, there's so much little things that happen in markets. So when you project it, it's easy to project like a low number, but when we go high, one thing could happen. We could just blow through everything and sell 1 million cases, or, you know, a state, like maybe a distributor has a massive reorg during July.
Right.
And you're like, oh, well, that just killed us 150,000 cases, and then, you know, whatever. So I've learned that in the past year, there's so many little things, but you just don't get bothered by it. Okay, whatever, it's business. So, but if you have enough states and things going on, like one state could, you know, have its moment, another one does whatever. But we'll easily do 2 million cases, so hopefully a lot more. but on a bigger side is like our profitability.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing extremely well. And it's our margins, like because we're doing so much more volume, now we have power to negotiate pricing, get better. You know, I could buy more boxes at bulk.
Right.
So all those little things is like way more exciting to me of like, whoa, like these are really good margins.
And I seem to recall, so you've expanded brewery production.
Mhm.
I think you were in 1 or 2 breweries or last year.
I was second one was starting when we met.
Okay. And how many, what do you have?
We're in
producing
4
now?
now.
Okay.
So we're in Memphis, Wisconsin, Massachusetts, Memphis, I say Tennessee, and LA is turning on right now.
Okay.
So
good.
which
that should help on your shipping and
incredible,
yeah.
big difference, like a giant swing. We're launching Canada this summer, which is
Good luck with that.
it's fun.
You think our laws are wacky.
Oh no, I know it all. I've been in Canada a lot. Part of that flying story.
Well, Kyle's Canadian.
He's
isn't he?
Canadian,
Yeah.
and I have it. Well, so we're doing something a little different
You gonna
though.
be smoking some darts?
I
chasing
should.
birds?
Yes. Do that already. Do that already in America. That's so funny. No, so but something different than what we're doing is we're actually building a Canadian team. So we're not trying to be like Mr. America coming in. Yes, Kyle's from Canada, but we have by the time we launch, we'll have 12 employees just in Canada. We're going to launch 3 provinces. I know all the laws. I know all the little things. I've studied all. I've been in the market tons. Our brewery there, Black Fly, is like a 10 out of 10. And that one's actually an RTD.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's the tax
LCBA, yeah.
structure's all different up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I was in the lab, like sitting there, just like taste testing and everything. I spent 2 days, maybe 12, 14 hours each day, actually 3 days, getting it to taste like a malt Happy Dad.
Just dialing it in.
Oh my God. I was just on a call with the owner of that brewery, and he was talking to our new director of product, and he was like, yeah, Sam's not easy to work with. Because these guys are like sweating, they're on overtime, and I'm like, listen, man, not really liking it. Not really liking it.
That is so good to hear. That is so crucial, and a lot of people blow over that. I mean, consistency is everything, and not just between countries, but just in general.
You'll be
Quality
shocked
control.
how often I'll go to a brewery and they'll be like, this one company did it the same way. Look how well they're doing. And I'm like, no, that's not us though. Like that's also why you don't like our product has like a certain flavor profile, because you could tell when there's an aftertaste.
Yes.
A lot of seltzers have them. And the first batch I get from every single brewery has that aftertaste. And I go, oh, they're like, oh no, we do this for everybody, right? And I'm like, but not us, you know. And that's what takes 3 days to dial it in, because they'll start listening to the recipe properly, and then you realize that the recipe isn't the proper recipe for that brewery because they have a different base brew. Like it goes into a whole world of stuff, but it's cool because like think about it, like 2 years ago, I couldn't even tell you what pH what was the purpose of being acidic, or like the pH level is high, or our pasteurization temperature.
Right.
And now got it down to everything.
You know, Bill Coors, rest his soul, he very famously would not brew Coors outside of Denver because he said the altitude brewing it at sea level made it taste different.
Listen,
and you know,
I'd be one of those if I thought that. I'm one of those guys that would probably think like that too.
We got folks. We got a young Bill Coors in the making over here.
I wouldn't. I mean, you know how crappy of a feeling it is when somebody drinks your stuff and be like, "Man, it doesn't taste good," and you're like, "Wow," and you taste it, you're like, "Wow, that was not a good can," right. You know, and then it's your fault.
Yeah, right.
You know, it's like, what do we do in this process? And like, it's crazy because like maybe that 12 pack was in the back of somebody's truck during the summer for 3 weeks.
Yeah, and
just like, you just don't know. So we're always like,
no, you never.
What was the journey of the can?
I mean,
you know,
it could be 100 different things. You know,
but that's the thing about like the alcohol business is like, it's all about problem solving. You know, and like I tell the guys, we're just firefighters all day. Like I probably have right now 400 messages going through, probably a bunch of great stuff and then a couple like problems or whatever. And it's just like, you just go with it. You know, like I don't think doctors stress when they're just dealing with crazy shit all day.
Yeah.
Right. And alcohol, there's, oh man, I just saw a message like one of our pallets like broke and it's leaking. Like, what do we do there? We'll just return it and whatever. Right. Just move on. Yeah. Just move on.
Just move on. Eat it. Well, all right. Well, is there anything else I'm missing, Sam?
No. I mean, no, nothing at all. I mean, it's been it's big 1 year for us from the last time we did this.
I mean, yeah, it's we've been watching you from afar, and it seems like you guys got a great thing going and haven't been shy about merchandising the brand on the pods.
No, but I think the biggest thing is like all the people we've hired this past year. Someone asked me 2 weeks ago, he goes, is there anybody that you regret? And I said, no, I love every single person that's joined the team because they're so critical to the business.
Yeah.
And even going back to the sales reps, I had one of our guys, he was our marketing, one of our marketing managers. I moved him to an area success manager because I was like, that is the most important role in this company right now. Nothing's more than marketing and all that. And he like loves it. He's actually our top 2 sales reps. And when it comes to like kind of independent production, the number 1 was my old assistant.
Really?
She's me and my brother's assistant for 5 years. She's like, I want to move on. I want to become an area success manager. I'm like, all right, murdering it. But then again, I take it back and I look at, she was our assistant for 2 years and working for me and my brother is not easy.
Yeah.
So this is probably so easy for her. She is just flying. She's like, oh, I've gone through way worse than this.
Yeah. And then she knows that your standards are pretty high.
Yeah, she gets it. She's on vacation right now every day, just like, oh yeah, look, I just signed up another 30 accounts. Crushes it.
Really?
But no, it's just the team's just like so incredible, and like every time we hire somebody, I'm just like, man, this is what I love about it is like now that we're building an incredible company is like where do we go a year from now when we do this again?
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to talk about what happens from there.
Right. I gotta thanks for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me. It
really worked out well. I'm here to do some family stuff, and I just came a little earlier, and you were here, and it's more fun to do it not on Zoom.
I would never do it with Zoom with you. I gotta be with you. We gotta hang.
Well, we travel enough. We'll connect. But
I gotta come to San Antonio next time.
Yeah. Well, I also need to thank you and your brother John because you gave me a tip last year, and I don't know if you remember this, but most people listen to this podcast. We only get like 200 viewers on YouTube. He's like, thumbnail, dude, thumbnail, thumbnail. And I taught myself Photoshop and started just putting banger thumbnails up there. Just when you're done going to the airport, type in BeerNet Studios and just check out my thumbnail game, okay? And you know what? Since I did that, we doubled our viewers overnight.
Amazing.
And now we have 1,000 subscribers as of yesterday.
Wow, congrats.
So yeah, I know these numbers seem ridiculous to you,
but it's 1,000 important people. Like there's the thing about my brother probably had to say this in the last podcast was the thing about podcasts. Yeah, there's big numbers and everything, but those 200, 400, 1,000 people are listening. Those are like real great listeners. You know what I mean? So we do a lot of podcast business, and it's all about like there's communities that you're tapping into, you know? So in the beer community, they respect the shit out of you, you know what I mean? And that's part of the game. So it's not really about the views. It's not about how many views you get. It's like who's listening.
That's true.
You know, and
this is very niche, obviously. It's basically just distributors and some brewery people. But
well, you know what though? I've done 2 podcasts my whole life. One last year with you.
Yeah.
Second one this one.
Really?
I don't do podcasts.
How does it feel being on the other side of the mic?
It's great. I'm like my brother's the one that does all the podcasts.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll do more down the road, but I don't really do. I'm always behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, hey, look at you. You're a star.
Oh, thanks. Listen,
thanks
Happy Dad is a star. I just support it.
Well, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Are you gonna leave these here?
Of course. Yeah. We gotta get them cold.